Hey guys, ready for one of your last art lessons of the school year? So, we're going to be doing something a little bit different this time. I am going to be grouping you together by age groups. So, today's lesson is pretty good for anyone who is about 9 to 11 years old, so that's about 4th or 5th grade. Now, if you want to go through my YouTube and look for the other art lessons for the younger kids, go for it. There's nothing wrong with that. You can still look them up. And some of the younger kids might be watching this video too. Before we go any farther though, let's talk about what we're going to need. You are going to need paper. Believe it or not, lined paper is what I need for you to have today. It helps you out a lot to have that. You'll need pencil and eraser, and trust me, you're going to need an eraser. And then some kind of coloring supplies. I would hope that you'd stick with color pencils or crayons. Markers is better once you begin or once you actually get this a little bit more experience. So we're going to be doing kind of an optical illusion kind of art. So we've got this little guy who is currently trapped in the lined paper. We got the kitty cat who is trying to climb through the copy paper. We've got this octopus who's trying to come through the lined paper. And then I'm going to show you some examples of letters and words that you can write through it. And I will go back and we'll talk about how you can do it. So here's an example of how to do letters through it, which I'll show you some more in a few minutes. And then this is probably the kind of things that you guys have started on already, is learning how to draw ribbon through them. So let's look at what I am talking about. So when I drew this, first I started by drawing just the whole big letters. If you look, you can actually see spots where I had to erase the things that I was working on, and that's fine. That's perfectly acceptable. Then I went back over and I made some things darker. I used a light blue pencil to kind of trace and make the light blue lines show up a little bit more, and then I colored it in. So let's experiment. Let's do that ribbon that they show. So some of you may have done this kind of stuff before, some of you may not have. I'll do some other examples too. So let's go with, we're going to go a curved line going up, and then I'm going to draw the same. Then I'm going to skip one. Then I did 1, 2, 3. See how it took up 3 lines? Next I'm going to come in and I'm going to do, going the opposite way. 1, 2, 3. And 1, 2, 3. Then down here, same thing. It's going to go 1, 2, 3. There we go. And 1, 2, 3. And I'll do them the opposite direction up here. So I'm going to have that guy going that way. And this one can go that way. Then I'm going to keep these a little bit darker, but I'll show you one of the things you could have done. I could have just done 1, 2, 3, and then like this. And then when I was done, come through and erase some of those lines. It's okay if you did, you don't have to. So now, this is kind of easy. You gotta take your pencil. I'm gonna zoom in a little bit. So I did draw a little line there. I'm gonna make it dark, and then I'm going to make it shade. You guys have seen this before. We've done value before. So same thing's gonna be down here in the bottom. I'm gonna do dark and then let it get a little bit lighter. I'm gonna do the same thing on this side. Dark, but then let it get lighter. Dark, and then let it get a little bit lighter. And it's gonna start looking like it is over or under some of these lines. So this is a very basic way how to trace or learn how to do this one. And then at the bottom and the top, I can just, and now my paper looks like it's, or my ribbon looks like it's coming and going in between each one of these. Then I took that one, my light blue pencil, and I made it a little bit darker just to help it kind of pop out a little bit more. If you don't have a light blue pencil, don't worry about it. So let's talk about letters. I'm just going to do one letter because I don't want to do this the entire time. So I've got the beginning of my letter. And the next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to figure out where it needs to, what part needs to be erased and what part I don't want to have erased. So if I want this part, that's going to go. Then I can erase more on that side. And I can do this guy in the middle. It's a little hard to figure out exactly which one it's supposed to be. But, so then I made that darker again. Remember? So I added that shadow there. Got here, and I'm going to make darker and that shadow. Now this does make it look like it's really stuck behind some of that. So some of the ones I've also seen have been like, let's see if I can do this one. I'm going to draw. Nope, that needs to come up like that. And then down, and then up, and then down, and then back over this way. And this guy is going to be a snake. It's going to be a pretty friendly snake. So here's the tail coming up and over, and then I've got his body coming back down, and I made that body a little too tiny. So next I want to make sure that his body, there we go. And then that, now that's going to look better. Alright. So I'm going to plot out where he needs to go. That's better. Alright. So next, I'm going to come over here. I'm going to get rid of that part. Come back down. Then he's going to, and I'm going to fix that up because that looks terrible. And he's going to come back around and he's going to loop his body onto that one. And that can be a little bit smaller. And there's his body coming down. There's that, and trying to draw that forked tongue. Not terribly good at that. That's okay. So now I'm going to take this. See, having that little blue line can sometimes make it look a little bit more. So that's behind him. That's behind him. These are not because it's in front of him. And now I can take color pencil and I can color in the spots that he's in front of it. And it helps him look like he's hanging out, wrapped around a part of my paper. So this is just kind of a fun optical illusion that you can start to practice and draw. I just thought it'd be something that you might find interesting to play with for a little while. And then I'm going to finish his tail over here on this side. Ta-da! You are welcome to try any of these. These are all artworks, or all practices that you should be perfectly fine and able to do. Let me get to the end page here. So, that is it for this one. Whoops, didn't mean to turn that. If you have any questions, you can email me at afransandamanaacademy.org. This is not a grade. This is just something for you to have fun with. Feel free to check out the other art lessons. This PowerPoint will be in my will be in your Google Turn-In folder, so you can look in there for this PowerPoint and use it again if you need to, but you don't have to turn in artwork to me, but I love to see it. So anyway, I'll see you guys later.